Good day everyone and welcome back in Learning Java Fundamentals. In this video tutorial, I'm going to introduce to you how our Java program accepts user value. Let me introduce to you a class called Scanner. This class Scanner is part of our Java utility. Java utility contains a collection of framework, collection of classes that is related to time and date. All these Java utilities are downloaded and installed whenever you prepare your Java development environment using the Java Development Kit. Importing all the Java utilities means that you want to use some of the predefined Java classes. How to import Java utilities is very simple. You just have to type here at the top of your program, import java.util for utilities and dot asterisk. Asterisk means all, but you can also identify specific class utility that you want to use. For convenience purposes, let's just use the asterisk for all. So we are importing all the Java utility classes. So now we can use the Java class as our way of allowing users to interact to our program. To use the scanner class, we have to instantiate an object of a type class scanner. To instantiate an object, please follow this statement. So mention the class first, mention the class name first, and then supply a user-defined variable. So for this, let's use SC and the equal sign and then keyword new literally means new. New and then the constructor of our class. Constructor in Java is a special method that is used to initialize an object. Okay, so here let's have a constructor that has a parameter system.in. A scanner, since this is a class, is contain properties and methods. Properties in the form of variables. Methods are specialized block of code for data manipulation. Scanner has this list of methods that we can use to allow our user to input specific data. Let's identify each of them. Next Boolean method, this reads a Boolean value from the user, the true and false. Next byte method reads a byte value from the user, the 1010 digits. The next double reads a double value from the user, our decimal digits. Next float also is a decimal digits. It only varies to the range of numbers it can contain. Next is we have this next int that reads an integer type of user input. We have next line that reads a string value from the user. We have next long value from the user, and then we have next short that reads a short value from the user. Okay. Again, the difference of this next long and next short is the range of value. Now, in accessing this method that is represented by our object here, we need to use this technique called dot notation. So dot notation is just as simple as mentioning the object and then putting the dot and then call the method that you're going to use. Let's see, for example, next int. So next int. So this line is enough for the program to request an input from a user, which is a number. So let's try to compile it and run. And I hope that we can get an error so that we could know some of the errors that we can meet along the compilations. And we can also know how to troubleshoot it so that by the next time, if ever we can meet the same error, we can know already how to fix that error. So let's compile. Okay, so it's good that we have received an error. It is in line 2. Okay, here expected this kind of symbol. So as I mentioned in the previous lesson, in the previous video, that each Java statement must end with a semicolon. Let's save it again, compile and run. Let's run the application. And as you can see in our terminal box, the cursor is blinking, meaning that it needs some interaction from the user. Since our code here allows the program to accept number because of the int, we have to input in the terminal an integer type of data. So numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever number. Okay. So enter. And so there you go. So the program accepts a integer data type of data. What will happen if ever during our execution that instead of inputting a number is let's put a character, a letter. Okay. Let's say for example letter A. So if ever we press enter in our keyboard, it will return a runtime error that states that exception in thread main. The error states exception in thread main. So here, okay, that part. Java util input mismatch exception. So in our Java utility in input mismatch, because the program expect an integer type of data, but we introduce character type of data. Okay, so let's make this output friendly to the user. So let's output here using our system that out that print ln to output something like enter a number. Let's remove this ln because ln means next line. So if ever we just use system that out that print means that this execution will be printed in the same line with this execution. Okay, so if we compile this and then run the application, we could see that it is more friendly to user, that this program requires the user to input a number. So let's just say 1. Okay, so there you have it. We don't have any error. Another example is this next line for requesting a string input from the user. Let's make the program more friendlier, and then let's call the method next line because this requests user to input strings. Oops, I forgot again to put the semicolon. There you have it. Let's save it, compile, and run the application. Enter a number since it requires us to enter a number and then press enter. Okay. As you can notice that the program skips in reading this line that allow users to input data. Actually, it is not a compilation error and also it is not a runtime error. So why it is that scanner skipping next line after the use of a next function? This is a very crucial error and it gives a lot of problem. To fix this issue is we need to consume all the lines read by this statement. Let's have this statement that reads an entire line so that the core source will be moved to the next line. So when we save it and then compile and then run the application, let's input the number, we can successfully input our next request for users input, which is enter your name, Miss Dev, and then press enter. And there you have it. We don't meet any errors during the program execution. Next, guys, is I'm going to introduce to you a method also under Scanner, which is called next. It is used to accept string input from user, but there is a big difference from this method also next line, which also accepts strings. And next line, it accepts all the strings regardless if it is separated with a white space. With next method, it only accepts the first word before the white space, this first word. Let's give it a sample. So, try to use the next method so that we could know the difference between next line method and the next method. So let's just say enter your address just for a example. So here in the next line, let's call our method next for our program to request an input from user. For us to display the data after it is being inputted by the user through this method next, let's put the data in a holder or a container such as a variable. A variable is a container that holds value. a value is maybe predefined in the program or a value that is given by the user. So here, since this is a string, let's define a variable with a data type string. Let's give its name as var string, and let's put the equal sign. Next line, let's display the inputted data of the user through this variable that holds the data. So that's it. Let's put the ln here, the next line, so that the cursor will be activated in the next line. So let's compile it again and let's run. So enter a number, say 1, enter your name, Miss Dev, enter your address. So let's re-enter our page Cebu, and then we are using the next method. It only accepts the first word that it meets before the white space. So what we're going to expect is we're going to see only the PH. Okay, so let's press enter. And there you go, it's the PH. So the Cebu is not included as an output of our program. Okay. Now, one of the important also of using next method is when the program needs a character type of data. So let's modify this program that can accept character input from the user. Using this next, since this next only get the first word that it needs before a white space, let's modify this and then let's create a statement that can only accept a character. So I'm going to introduce to you this new method called dot char at. This method here accepts the first word that it meets, and then char at method, okay, returns character in that string. The string that captures here in the next method. Oops, I forgot. You also need to put 0 here, means that the 0 index. Okay. In a string, sample, we have this A, B, C. Each letter here corresponds to an index. Okay. Letter A has an index 0, letter B has an index 1, and letter C has an index 2. So if we put 0 here, means that we're going to get the first letter from this word ABC. So let's execute this statement so that we can display an output of this statement. First is let's make a variable that would hold our inputted data. Let's use the char variable data type because we're going to accept a character value. Later on, after this video tutorial, we're going to discuss about variables. So you would know the different kinds of variable data type and how to use it. Okay, so char, and then let's introduce a variable name, say varchar, variable character, and then the equal sign and the value. This value came from the inputted data of our user. Next in line, let's copy this statement that can print out an output, and then let's change this variable name into the variable that holds a character value. Okay, so paste it there, and then let's compile it and then run the program. Okay, so first let's enter a number, say 1, and then enter a name, enter your name, Miss Dev, and then enter your address, okay, PH Cebu, okay, enter your address here, so it's uses next, so we could expect that it will only display the PH and Cebu is not included. So let's press enter, okay, and then okay, so I guess we have an error here, and it's very good for better understanding about Java program. As you can notice, our program did not work as expected to be. What we expect is that our program will ask for another input from our user using this next method. This is because our next method previously in line 21 here in this statement, this next method did not read or consume the rest of the leftover of this entire line. That's why our program, instead of asking for a new input data, it refers to the current inputted data, which is from this statement. To fix this issue, same as what we did in this part, let's create a statement that will consume the leftover from this statement. Let's put this statement that will consume the leftover from this next method. I guess that would fix the issue. Enter a number, enter your name, enter your address, and then there you go. Here it stops when the pH was displayed. Our cursor is blinking and is expecting a user intervention by inputting a new data. Okay, now it reads this line 28. Okay, it will accept data using this next method, and then a new method char at that would return the first character from the inputted data of the user. Okay, let's input here hey. Okay, and then let's press enter, and then you have it. Since we put an index 0, then we could expect that we will be noticing the H letter here, since this is the first letter from the word hey. Let's modify our program that would feel more friendlier rather than just this one. Okay, let's a description that it asked for gender. Run the program, enter a number, say 20, Miss Dev. Okay, your address is PH Cebu, and then it shows no this PH was in line 24, and then enter your gender, let's say female. Okay, and then if we press the enter, it will display the first character from the word female, okay, which is letter F. So that's how the scanner utility works. It gives our user the capability to input data. There are a lot of methods to play around for us to input different kinds of data, from Boolean to byte, double, float, integer, our string, which is next line and next. And then we also have to associate our next with this method that char at, for us to be able to display a character data only. Okay, so that's it. See you next in our video tutorial, and we will be discussing about variables.